Peace, y'all. So, hopping right into it. Well, if you don't know, Krista Allure, um, going from transgender back to my original gender as female. I've done this a couple of times, but this time I'm making it stick. This time I'm choosing for the detransition to be permanent. And so, with that being said, I'm here to share with you my detransitioning journey, and it's beyond what I'm doing on a physical level. It's more so what I'm doing on a spiritual, mental, emotional level. Because despite the types of transitions that everybody goes through, it's all about the middle portion. Whatever goals we have in life, so much we want to go from A to Z and exclude the rest of the alphabet, and then wonder why shit don't make sense. You know what I mean? Or we can't read situations because we omitted everything else. We omitted the transitioning part of the process because we are afraid of the actual process. We're afraid of the failure, or a disappointing outcome of some sort, or just not being good enough. We're afraid of feeling the the things we have to let go in order for the things that we really want for us to be able to receive it. And so there is a uh, major sense of impatience and trying to speed up the process. And so I'm here to share with you my story because I found a lot of wisdom in being transgendered. I found a lot of wisdom in detransitioning. And no matter what, is all kinds of communities out there, and I feel it's my personal duty to share what I have because it's way beyond um, fighting for your rights, so to speak. It's more so trying to genuinely gain the wisdom of why things are the way they are within oneself, and to have the courage to change certain things within self that may no longer serve us. So I'm gonna just hop right into what I want to say, that I feel when it comes to transgender people and people who are detransitioning, even women who don't identify as LGBTQ at all. But I want to speak more towards females who still have female parts, no matter what you did with them. Um, you were born that way. Um, Studs, butch, whatever, right? Feminine people, or like females who have more of an attunement to masculinity. There is, I'm speaking for myself right now. So whoever can relate, is to relate. I within myself have had a long issue with not having male genitalia. I go through the seven deadly sins, and I've never really envied anybody, but I've definitely envied men in general. And it was one of those situations where if you can't beat them, join them, right? And for me, not having male genitalia put me in a space of like hidden envy. And I didn't know. I didn't know for a long time. As deep as I always was, people who really know me, you guys know me to be a very deep person. Know me to be very responsible when it comes to going inside myself and figuring things out. And I had no idea that I was extremely envious of men because You know, here are the surface reasons why I had an issue with not having it. Number one, um, can't whip it out and piss anywhere I fucking want to. You know what I mean? Like if you driving 10 hours in the car, you know, you can just take an empty Poland Spring bottle and have at it. You know what I mean? Uh, you can go get you a Stanley, fill it up, and then just chuck it in the can somewhere. You know what I mean? Go get you another one. So convenience. Okay. The convenience that male genitalia can have compared to a female's when it comes to sex. You know, that's probably one of the biggest parts because, you know, you want to fulfill a woman's fantasy and everything. And you can't. Now, unless you're the type of person to wear a strap on wherever you go, um, I was never the type to do that. I never even owned one. You know what I mean? Like that was just never my thing. Um, because I just never felt there was anything authentic with it. And not being able to just go fuck in the back of a parking lot somewhere or you know in an alley somewhere or whatever, you know, um, not being able to have fun sex, right? And women can have fun sex. They do it all the time. Um, but fun sex without repercussions of having a child because men do have the ability to become detached from a situation where, oh, you know, I'm pregnant. Oh, okay. And then they can block the number and switch their number and just keep it moving. Not all men do that, of course, but the fact that there is the ability to do that. And I'm also not saying that that's what I would prefer, but here's the core of where I'm getting at despite the surface frustrations. It's the responsibility that a female has to have when it comes to having female parts. No matter how you identify, I don't care. At the end of the day, the word responsibility means the ability to respond. And when your body is responding a certain way to certain ways of thinking, eating, indulging, doing whatever, we have the ability to respond to it. Okay, and I didn't know that that's what I was running away from. I didn't know that having female body was such I didn't know that there was the level of responsibility that came with it because I was never taught. There was not one woman in my family um who ever taught me anything about my feminine body. Not one. And I'm saying this because there's a lot of women out there and a lot of girls out there who have a lot of women in their family that don't teach them anything about the feminine body because they don't know themselves. So, going back to having the ability to respond, this is such a key, specifically when it comes to transgender people out there and people who are detransitioning and females who are considering to transition. When I say responsibility is the ability to respond, you have to think about this first. What is it that your body is responding to? What is your body saying? Before we even consider getting any kind of surgery or hormone therapy and all that, right? Have we truly gotten in touch with our bodies? Do we know and understand what it's like for us to be able to communicate with all parts of our bodies. Do we understand that our bodies have the ability to hold on to information? That information may be pain and trauma and joy and happiness, right? But we're never going to decipher what it is if we're stuck in this idea of anxiety. I'm going to get to that some other time. If we're feeling anxious and we're feeling angry and we're feeling uncomfortable, we are fighting with dis-ease. Of course, immediately we want to respond by getting rid of it. And I heard somebody say this, and so I be saying it, but I can't remember who it was that said it, that just because something is uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that you are unsafe. And if it gets to the point where our uncomfortability it feels unsafe, then I would invite everybody, whether you're transgender or not, but especially people who are trans, because this is the rate of how much people are detransitioning now, because we believe that we had made a mistake, but we were so gung-ho and sure in the beginning. Whether you feel sure of your transitioning or not, these are dangerous surgeries, okay? These are parts of yourself you will never get back, ever. You will never get these parts back. You cut off your breast, you will never get that back. You take out your womb, you will never get that back. Okay? I would invite you to find ways to communicate with your body. What is your body saying to you? What is your body trying to tell you that is something's making you feel unsafe? I have seen so often, and I have experienced testimony of many trans men, who specifically trans men. And when I say trans men, for those of you who don't know, female to male, I've seen them say, I feel safer when I take testosterone. That is one of the biggest red flags to pay attention to. I feel safe when I take testosterone. And a lot of people can argue that it has to do with the mental health, but please understand, we are powerful people. If we're powerful enough to rally up a bunch of people to fight for our rights and say what needs to be said, if we're powerful enough to change laws, if we're powerful enough to do certain things, then we are powerful enough to heal ourselves. We are powerful enough to at least be honest with ourselves and start a dialogue with self. But we're not taught to do that. And so we don't know what to do, where to go. We just want this pain and uncomfortability and this feeling of unsafety to go away. We just want it all to go away. So I would invite you to start to communicate with your body. And I mean literally communicate with it. For females specifically, communicate with your womb. W-O-M-B. Communicate with your womb and find out what she has to say. The reason why I say this is because this is where all life comes from. I don't care who you are, how you identify as, what your fucking pronouns are. You come from a womb. That is where life is created. Okay? There's a lot of trauma in the womb. There's a lot of trauma in the liver. There's a lot of trauma in the kidneys. There's a lot of trauma in the brain. There's a lot of trauma in our bodies, in our muscles, in our skin. And I think that before we pop a vein in our neck trying to get people on our side to understand who we are and, you know, that feeling of needing to be seen, I think it gets to a point where it's useless, because you're fighting for everybody else to listen to you, but you are very vaguely listening to yourself. And your body is a part of yourself. Your spirit is a part of yourself. Your soul is a part of yourself. Your mental and emotional embodiments are a part of you. We're so focused on equality that we don't even understand what alignment is. Many people will say, oh, I feel it in my soul that this is right. But you can't tell me the difference between your soul and your spirit. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And when I tell you I have been doing the inner work, I started consciously doing inner work on myself since I was 19. I'm 37 now. I got some years under my belt when it comes to going deep inside of myself, getting to know who and what I truly am. Letting go of the social media, letting go of, you know, communities, letting go of outside influences. I want to know who I am from my truest self. I want to know what my soul looks like. I want to know what she wants and what she's here for. So I'm not saying this to persuade people to do anything else but to empower yourselves by being more honest and open with yourselves. We expect everybody else to be honest and open with us, but we don't know or are too scared to be open and honest with ourselves. I personally have envied men for a long time and did not know it. I had no clue. And I do real deep inner work. Now, I'm not here to say, well, I'm better than anybody or whatever. Everybody does their own thing on their own time, the way they're supposed to. Cool. But as deep as I've gone within myself consciously, and I still didn't know that I was envious of men, and it showed up in a way where, oh, but this is who I truly am. You sure? You positive? I'll get a little bit more transparent with you. I have never in my life, except for maybe once or twice, have ever had fun sex. Never. The way I grew up and everything that was done to me, all I was ever used to was being numb in the bedroom. So even after all the abuse was over, no matter who I got with in a relationship or not a relationship, I was numb. It was what it was. The other person most likely enjoyed it. It was nothing for me. And in my mind, I always felt that if I was a man, I could have fun sex. Not to say that there isn't men out there that isn't numb, but it full circles still back to that level of responsibility of having feminine parts. Going back to that place of the womb. You know, when a woman has sex for the first time, it's painful. Men don't have to think about that. Considerate men will think about it, you know. Considerate men will think about it. Um, and will take it easy and take it slow. But at the end of the day, it's something fun for men. And I'm not speaking for all men. I'm not. There's a lot of men out there that are numb. There's a lot of men out there who are scared to have sex. There's a lot of different kinds of men out there that, you know, will resonate differently. But for the most part, the men that I've known, the men that I've seen, everybody gets to talk about, you know, their fun encounters and reflect on the joys and good times that they had being that vulnerable. And it kind of chokes me up on the inside just saying this out loud. I have not been able to have those type of experiences. Um, there is no pleasure for me, for the most part, when it comes to sex. Um, and so I envy that. And you could ask, well, don't you envy women that have fun sex? Not so much, you know. Um, because once again, women have to think about the womb. We're the ones that have to think about the pregnancy. So my trauma put me in a place of envy. My trauma put me in a place of numbness. And so I was only able to think so far. When you become traumatized and numb, your level of thinking only goes so far. And so every day that I grow, and I've been sitting on this information of myself for some time. I wasn't just gonna throw this out there, but I wanted to be transparent and vocal about this because there are a lot of trans men, there are a lot of detransitioners, and there are a lot of um, masculine women out there that share this same envy knowingly and unknowingly. And I pray and I'm having confidence that many people will see this and will say within themselves, damn, maybe I should ask myself some deeper questions. Maybe I can communicate with my body more. And like I said, for people who are not trans, people who aren't even anywhere near anywhere LGBTQ, um, I pray to empower people with this information. None of this is a sob story. I would never embarrass myself in that way. For me personally, you know what I mean? Um, Communicate with your body. Be honest with yourself. If you know that you're not perfect, then you know that there are parts of yourselves and parts of your belief system that are just not honest and not working for you anymore. So go inside yourself and figure that out. But I'm putting this out there, and I pray that this helps. You got any questions for me, hit me up, let me know. Also, check out my website, www. I don't even have to say that no more. That's so old. But wholeheartedhelp.com. I do personal readings and I do vent sessions. And I am looking for people who are detransitioning to do a support group every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. If you guys need any help, please let me know. I'm here for you. And if nobody's told you today, I love you for real.